Welcome everyone to my latest action figure review, as we have one for the newest Marvel Cinematic Universe movie with the ZD Toys Deadpool from Deadpool and Wolverine. And yes, you heard that correctly, it is for the latest MCU hype. The third installment of Deadpool has been released in figure form. So albeit ZD Toys is 1/10 scale, but they've beaten the likes of Hasbro and Tamash Nations to of course release characters for the most talked about movie of late. I am kind of surprised they've released this so early because the movie's still ongoing in theaters, and I believe ZD Toys only made the reveal like 2 weeks ago. Of course, there's always pros and cons to releasing a character so early, but by now I think a lot of toy companies have inside information. They kind of go by the art concepts or even the movie trailers to of course give us the closest figure as possible. Of course, Deadpool isn't the only release this month. We also have Wolverine, which is the one I'm most excited for. So stay tuned to my channel, I will review this as well. And back to the Deadpool. And one thing I do have to give ZD Toys credit is the way they've presented their figures. In terms of the packaging and box, this is really nice, especially for the budget. A really good shot of the character at the front. We have all the logos, Marvel Studios, of course ZD Toys as well, Marvel. And then on the side we have the logo once again with the scratches. And then if we look at the other side, we have a shot of the figure, and then more logos and stickers of ZD Toys and Disney. And then on the back we have some photos of the figure, and just to give you an idea of the full set. So inside the box we have the figure of Deadpool inside a clamshell, and also all the accessories really nicely presented in the other packaging. So here is a first look at the Deadpool figure taken out of its packaging. So first impressions, I think the sculpt is very decent, the way they've painted it as well. Of course it is based on his latest suit for the movie. And ZD Toys have done a Deadpool previously, which I believe was a comic version. So this one is slightly different, it's going to look a lot more realistic. And I think they've done a decent job overall. There's a lot of detail to this figure. So looking at the belt, of course, one of the standouts is the Deadpool logo. And then we have all the design in terms of the guns with the holsters, which are not removable, I believe. Nope, you can't take them out. And then we have the holder for the knife. And technically I think ZD Toys are still aimed for kid-friendly kind of figures. So that's probably one of the reasons why he cannot hold on to the guns. I know the movie is R-rated, but I think a lot of kids will still pick this up. And in terms of the face sculpt, yeah, it is actually pretty good. I think it's decent for this Deadpool. And I noticed also the details on the shoulder pads. It is a separate piece rather than a sculpted one, which allows better movement. Of course, in terms of the full details, the paint is not going to be as nice as Marvel Legends or SH Figure Arts. But I do need to consider the budget. Most of the ZD Toys are under $20 US. I wouldn't pay any more than 30 for them. So first impressions, yeah, it's actually pretty nice. And I think it's a good representation. So one thing I noticed out of the box, it is very tall. So obviously it is 1/10 scale. So it's not going to fit in my SHF or my Marvel Legends, if that's something you're considering. I think it may fit with the Marvel Select, because their figures are quite tall, but this is made to go with the rest of the ZD Toys. So first impressions, I do like this, and now we can take a look at the accessories. So for the accessories, let's first take a look at the alternative hands. So the ones right out of the packaging, we have the closed-fisted hands. For the alternative set of hands, we have a pair of pointing off the fingers, which of course can be used for some of the trademark looks for Deadpool. And for the third set of hands, we have a pair to hold on to some of the weapons. And now we can take a look at the weapons included. So firstly, we have the knife to be held in hand. And of course it can be placed on either side. And this is a pretty much a standard thing to include in Deadpool, is to have the knife. And you can see that it is very detailed. Just be very careful not to bend it too much in case it breaks. But from what I feel of it, it is pretty solid. And as before, of course, we saw that it can be placed on the side of the leg, just to give you that alternative look. And here is a look at the double katanas, of course, which is the standout weapons included. And since Deadpool cannot hold on to the guns, I think this is the pros that most people are going to use. You just need to get Deadpool in the right poses, and then I think it's going to look pretty good, especially next to a Wolverine. So in terms of the details of the katanas, I don't think it's entirely accurate, but of course it does have the details on there, and I think it's a good look. So I did kind of have some trouble placing them through the hands, so it is very tight at the moment. So I guess it's better than being loose, but just be very careful when you remove them. So obviously he has the gear at the back. Let's see if the swords fit in as well. If I can get this out. As you can see, it's very tight. And then are we able to place the swords through? By the looks of things, nope. Or yes, maybe you can. So let's get the other one out. So yeah, you are able to place the swords behind him, which gives him that alternative look. And yeah, I just wish they included the guns now. And for the final accessory, we can take a look at the alternative eyes, where they've included 2 extra sets. So what you have to do is you just kind of have to remove them from the front and then just replace them. So here are the first set of alternative eyes. And here is the look at the second set of alternative eyes. And of course you can mix and match them. And here is a look at the final accessory included, which of course is the display stand built into separate pieces. And this is no doubt a very nice touch to include in their figure. I think other companies should learn from them and include a stand with this kind of logo, and it just upgrades the display overall. Of course, for Deadpool, if he wants to be into certain poses, whether he's jumping or diving, of course you can attach this stand on. Otherwise you can still use it just for a neutral pose, and I think it would still work. So yeah, this is no doubt a very nice touch. And now we can take a look at the articulation, so the movement of the Deadpool figure. So let's start off with the head sculpt. So you can see you can move side to side, no problems, 360. And you can also tilt it left and right. And then upwards this much, downwards slightly. And then for the arms, you can see they stretch side to side, very good, despite the shoulder pads, which I think it is built like this to allow good movement. And they can go outwards and inwards quite a lot as well. And then there's of course rotation on the arms, they go upwards. And then we have a full arm bend, very good as well. Rotation on the hands, the lower half also rotates, no problems. And then we have the hand, there's a small hinge as well. And then for the upper torso, not much movement here unfortunately, but you can see it tilts side to side and then upwards and downwards. And then for the waist, there's not much turn either. You can kind of move it side to side, but there's not much in terms of that. But then the waist crunch, we have a slight one and it bends backwards slightly. So in terms of the body, it is quite limited. Not much movement in terms of the belt. And then for the legs, they kick forwards and then they kind of rotate backwards, although you can see it's very stiff. But you can turn it the other way. And I do have some trouble kind of rotating it back because the holster is kind of in the way. And you can kind of stretch the legs sideways, so no problems there. And then we have a full knee bend, which is really good. And then we also have a toe hinge, and it does kind of move side to side. So apart from the head sculpt and the arms, which are very smooth, the rest of it is kind of limited. Now for the size comparisons, let's start off with a couple of Wolverines with a Toy Biz version on the left and a Marvel Legends on the right. And here it is standing next to an SE Figuarts Iron Man as well as a Captain America. And here it is next to a Mafex Superman as well as a ZD Toys Fei Long. And here it is next to a McFarlane Toys Peacemaker and a DC Collectibles Deathstroke. So for my final thoughts on the ZD Toys Deadpool from Deadpool and Wolverine, I say this is a decent entry into the line if you're looking for figures right now after the movie. Take into account the price, you are getting what's expected. I think the sculpt is decent for what it is, the paint details are there. Of course, we have most of the main looks with the katana swords, the knife, the alternative eyes. The only real disappointment is you cannot hold on to any pistol guns. The articulation could also be slightly better, and it would have been great if they added an armor's head sculpt, although I wasn't really expecting one. No doubt for the time being this is a decent one to have on a display, but of course I look forward to other releases from the other companies. So I'm still going to give this a 7 out of 10. It's a good figure, but far from the definitive one. Stay tuned to more as I will review the Wolverine figure next, and also check out my other content related to the Deadpool and Wolverine line. Thanks for watching and hope to see you next time.